are, folks. Welcome to another action-packed yet erotic episode of Shot on Video Vigilantes with my co-hosts Andrew Baltus and Clint Kelly, and we are joined by I can't even speak because it means so much to me that he's here right now. This guy is one of the pioneers of shot on video films and beyond. Uh, Once we get going, because he's been taping his whole life, but Mr. Todd Cook, Todd Jason Falcon Cook is here with us today on SOV Vigilantes. So excited to have him here for several reasons. And First of all, I just want to say thank you, Todd, for coming on the show, talking about your life with us. um, you and I have a 30-year past now. um, you are the first person to ever say to me outside of Wellsville, outside of my friend group, outside of my family, to say to me, hey, you know what? You've got potential. There's potential here. I want to see what you do. And the more that you do, I would love to distribute your films for me. And you were the first person to do that in the early 90s. And since then, we have had a ethereal relationship. That's right. That's right. Church Boy, originally called Bloody Bobby.
Oh, okay. Okay.
There, oh my goodness. Yeah. Holy crap. Wow, I don't even have that. Okay.
That's because you sent it to me.
um but
You
yeah,
do need to get to Texas now, Chris.
oh, I know. So Todd and I um have been corresponding for 30 years. We have never met in real life. Only we've talked over the phone. We wrote letters. I have all of these are letters back and forth from Todd.
You got yours too.
Yeah, man. Um,
That's funny.
and we even started doing video letters. I would shoot stuff to Todd. Todd would shoot stuff to me, and we'd send physical tapes back and forth to each other,
Yes, we
talking
did.
to each other.
They're right on the shelf behind me. I don't know if you can see back there, but
I do.
there's a big cabinet loaded with tapes, and yeah.
Yeah, I still have a bunch of the tapes actually, because not only would you, um, talk to me in those tapes, but you would include old movies of yours.
Oh
And
wow.
and so I would get to see like stuff that I thought was just incredible, because it was your whole life and you were taping your whole life. Um, and so I was seeing a lot of that stuff, and I felt so privileged, to sort of see behind the curtain. Whoa! All right.
Do you know what this is, Chris?
I have no idea what that is, but I know that's me, and I saw Jesse there for a minute.
Yeah, you sent me this VHS. It just because what you were talking about reminded me to go ahead and play a snippet of this. You sent me tapes labeled Chris Beaver's Unfinished Movies.
Oh wow.
And so I've got that down there on the screen that I can refer to at any point.
Man, I have no idea what that is. What's up?
Man, we're gonna be
Well,
selling that on the black market soon.
Yeah, I haven't seen them since the day you sent them to me. So that was a 93 or 4.
Yeah, man. It's 94.
A couple days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Todd, Todd's been making films his whole life. And I became aware of your work because of the back of a Fangoria magazine. And I saw an ad. And this was so I got some of your stuff before I even sent my stuff. Because one of these letters is a thanks for getting this from Cemetery Cinema. You know, we've included this in here and all this stuff. So it was just VHS stuff that you guys were selling.
Mhm.
One, like, you know, horror movies. Two, stuff that you were doing. So that's how I first, you know, found out about Cemetery Cinema and what you were doing. And then through sort of, you know, me sending you things, because I also saw like, oh, you can send some of your work and we would consider it to put in the catalog, stuff like that. That's right. Oh my goodness. So yeah, so I was able to.
Oh, wow. I still have a big stack of those.
Then
That's my happy birthday to me drawing. I drew the covers sometimes. Oh, wow. Galaxy Entertainment.
But I've got this
Cool. The Horror House on Highway 5 drawing.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. You know, I don't know if you knew this, Chris, but before I called it Cemetery Cinema, I called it Slasher Cinema. And that was short-lived. And I was advertising in Fangoria, and that one did not take off. So I collapsed that and started with the Boneyard.
Yeah.
That was the business, was the Boneyard. Oh, yeah, there's the church boy ad. Yep.
Now you got to understand, Todd. To somebody like me living in Wellsville, New York, to see this in your catalog blew my mind. You know what I mean? I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was just like, oh my God. You know, all of us who were making those movies, those LVP movies back then, we were just like, you know, that to us was huge.
Well, I believed in your work, man. I thought your movies were fun, you know. And maybe I saw a lot of myself in you or something. I'm pretty sure I did.
Well,
and I was like, wow, he's doing a lot of what I did. He's like a few steps behind me, and this kid could like really start kicking some ass. So
we first bonded over Friday the 13th.
Naturally.
Yeah, that's what we really started talking each other through the letters and everything. And you would talk about your Friday the 13th fan films. I was talking about my Friday the 13th fan films. And so that's really where, you know, I think we first sort of connected like that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was in our letters that were going back and forth. And somewhere in this house, I've saved all the orders that ever came in, and I have all of your orders. Like you had to write in the title of the movie you wanted and the quantity you wanted, and you would include the cash. You would send a 20 or whatever it was.
Yeah, man.
I still have all those original letters and orders, everything. And I found them not too long ago, and I was like, "Whoa, I forgot I had those." But I mean, that went right back to the first day you ever placed your first order. I could tell you what your first order was one of these days when I get it.
Oh man, that'd be wild.
And yeah, and you know what? When in doing so, when I saw this thing about 6 months ago, when I came across by accident, I saw Dustin Hubbard in there over and over and over, and I was like, "Oh, that's what he looks like after all these." You know, and I was remaking my movie Frightmares, and that's weird, but insane and cool and wild.
Yeah, and to speak to that, I'm gonna get into the past here, but in 2014, we did the remake of Evil Knight.
Yes.
And that was also, you know, that was a thrill. That was a thrill, and not only, I mean, there you go. You blessed us with the original mask, which is behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was incredible, totally incredible. It it was pretty awesome. I had such a good time making that film, and I felt like I don't know, like it was special to me. It was very special to me. I wouldn't say, well, I guess it was because at that point, shit, 2014, that would have been what was that? 20 years? That would have been 20 years, right?
Seems like yesterday to me.
20 years from when we first got hooked up.
Yeah.
And so
Wow.
I think that was part of the reason why it was
The
happening.
The nostalgia and the revisiting.
Yeah.
Like how it began, because my first film was Evil Night. So obviously that was probably the first thing you would have ordered it from me, I guess, if you were. And I think you came in right at the beginning. So you may have.
It was Evil Night. And you sent me some of your, yeah, man.
Here's a sealed 1992 Cemetery Cinema.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Wow.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
I have sold so many of these sealed ones, and this is coming down to not too many left, and I don't want to sell too many more of them, but I won't unwrap it. I don't know why. I'm just going to let it kind of hang out. But yeah, and here's Chris's, our Scream Time cover for your remake. See, I've tried to be prepared so that anytime Chris mentions them, I can just lean down and come up with it. So, and there's the Scream Time edition of his DVD. I hope it's not glaring. I'm trying to.
No, we can see it.
Okay. I'm realizing I got to angle it a certain way. Okay.
What'd you think of the remake, Todd?
Loved it. Loved it. And I remember there was some strange confusion. Chris later on contacted me. It's like, I don't think you liked my movie. Or, did you like it? Because I heard you didn't like it or something. I was like, man, no, I loved it from the get-go. I thought it was so much fun. It reminded me of the movie Zapped, kind of like mixing into Evil Night. And I was like, that was a genius mixing of that 80s humor and shenanigans, you know, and melding that with the Jimmy. It works really well as a horror comedy. And Chris is the only man to do it, you know, perfectly every time. So, in fact, the horror comedy thing, I was like, man, this kid's mastered it. I remember trying to, I wouldn't say argue, but I was like, do a straight film. I want to see a brutal movie. Do something dark. Yeah. And he would never do it.
I know. I do remember that. I do remember.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
Because I was like, man, it'd be so cool if he had like it's different styles coming out. And you found your niche, and that's what it was. You were sticking to it and mastering it. And that's, you know, I did that with skateboarding, so I can't blame you. You know, just you keep getting like to another level with it, you know. Yeah. And that's what I thought you did with Evil Night. You took it to another level. So
I'm just
a very fun
Chris
one.
Doing serious and how funny that would end up being.
Yeah, it would still be instead of being a horror comedy, it'd be a comedy horror, I think.
Yeah. Definitely. But so let's go back, man. Like you have done it your whole life. You have shot your life. It was Super 8, you know. I mean, what drove you, man? What was the whole impetus for you to be like, you know what? Dad, Mom, I want to make movies. I want to do this. I want to, you know, what was it?
Very important thing I mentioned earlier before we were recording. Key word is positivity. And that's where it all comes from. And why positivity? Oh, this guy's a nut. It's one of the life nuts. Well, yes. But the point is, I love life. Life is a gift. Everyone should treat everyone beautifully and wonderfully, regardless of race, sex, creed, color, religion, politics, yada, yada. Let's bring the love back. And my whole life was raised on treating humans as they should be. Always. You know, love thy neighbor, all that stuff. I get along with every person on planet Earth. The only enemies I have, they just hated me from the get-go. And what can you do? You can't connect with everybody.
Yeah.
So what I've learned from that in life is that, you know, just keep doing what you're doing. Don't let that stop you. So the drive was, I love life. My parents were audio recording a lot. And I thought, hey, that'd be cool. Can I have your tape recorder, Dad? I'm like 3 years old. So I get all his blank tapes. And he was in the record business, so he had thousands of Bee Gees, Beatles, all that. I popped the tabs. I covered them over with tape later, erased them. Erased a lot of money's worth of tape, sadly, recording my shit over it. But well, that Beatles tape could have gone for $500 on eBay. Nope, you had to record you watching Friday the 13th for the 50th time over it. But no, I would do that stuff. I guess the thing about nostalgia was kicking in very early in life. I was like, life's going to go fast. I had this perception of that as a kid. And here I am at this age. I'm not even going to say it because I'm eternally like 25. I'm a kid forever. That will never change. I have not changed one iota since 18 years old and forward. I still have the same exact body, the same exact weight, the same everything. I just stay the same because that's what I choose to do. And it's out of a love for life and wanting to play, because making movies, let's face it, it's playing, man. I don't care who, wants to call it what. We're producing movies or we're filmmaking. Yeah, it's all that, but you're playing, you're enjoying the shit out of it. Am I right?
Sometimes, yes.
I'm sorry, I talk so long, y'all don't even know when it's okay. My bad. I talk too much.
So, I mean, was there, and I think, was there a movie that really pushed you to say, "Yep, this is my path,"
Yeah, it's the one that connected you and I, and it's a movie no one's ever heard of. It's on a holiday that no one ever thought they'd make a movie about, and it's had umpteen sequels. No one's gonna watch this stupid shit. Yeah. Friday the fucking 13th.
Right.
Greatest horror film series on earth. That's what.
Awesome.
That's the movie. And I'm sure every film, so many filmmakers now, there's like millions of me's and you's out there who saw Friday the 13th and go, I want to make movies now. So that was the primary film that said, start making them. And what it was, of course, we've probably all seen the documentaries of Friday the 13th. We know Tom Savini's little entire stories and all that stuff. So we see those effects, as kids. It was the first time we were watching kills happening on screen in real time. It broke the barriers. And I had just fallen in love with horror only a few years before, I want to say in 1976, with the movie The Sentinel, Jaws, and Tourist Trap, which has always been a huge thing in my life. That's why there's mannequins in every film I've ever made. But, those late 70s ones and Salem's Lot, the miniseries television show, those made me fall in love with horror. And Westworld with Yul Brynner. Really, that movie felt like I was watching Jason. If you have ever heard of this movie, and Chris, you probably have, and you've seen it, picture him with a hockey mask and tell me that it's not Friday the 13th. Yeah. He just got a gun instead. But I'm not kidding you. It has that vibe. Yeah. And in the ending, it's like, this looks like that Jason Takes Manhattan scene where he's walking, through the underground tunnel. There's a scene with Yul Brynner walking through this very similar tunnel. And it's shot the same. And I'm like, yeah. So seeing all that stuff and falling in love with that 70s horror pushed me to being obsessed with horror. And there was a camera, but I just wasn't thinking about making movies, I guess. It just looked like, it hadn't happened yet. Yeah. Dad made, Christmas and film Thanksgiving and holidays, and that's just what we did. I didn't think for a minute that I could just pick up the camera and make a movie. But after I saw Friday the 13th, I was 8 years old, and I was like, I can make a movie, and I will make a movie. So what it became after Friday the 13th was making it all the way to part 13 long before the series does. And I actually accomplished that in 1989, and that's one of my pinnacle discussions of all time is my Friday the 13th, part 13, The Final Destruction fan film, which I tried to research this, may be the first full-length Friday fan film ever. I'm not certain, but I couldn't find another.
I would say so. I would totally.
Because there's millions now.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah, because there's so many now, and it's like, did I seriously, was I the first one? I was like, somebody had that. And
they were awesome. Those fucking movies were so cool. And again, that's another thing to me that was just like, this guy, he's doing it, man. He's making these movies. He's doing it, but on a better level than we are. But he's doing it, and they're awesome, and they're creative, and everything. And of course, one of the things I loved about it was that you were doing it at your home, around your home. It was you. So you were showing your fandom as well. Every fucking room you went into had it was it was horror. This was a horror kid. This was a
Yeah.
kid who loved this shit, who breathed this shit, and it came through in those fan films, and that was one of the things that really, like, god damn,
That's
like,
yeah, that's cool to hear after all these years, because still out of everything I've done, it's the thing I revisit the most out of all my work. That movie's almost on the television daily for the last 20 or 30 years in the background while I'm working. I have to have that music at the ship, and I just have to hear it, and I have to hear certain lines and hear certain things, like, because it keeps me in that 1989 mode. And I thought, how special would it be since you've, fallen in love with Friday the 13th, it spurred you on to pick up a Super 8 camera and start making movies. But making all these short little 2 to 3 minute things was all I could do. Your reel of a can of film was that big, and it was a 3 minute can, no sound. So I made Friday the 13th part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and just kept right on going long before the series was even on 3.
Yeah.
I was already telling everyone there's going to be 13 of them. And then what became of that, with me saying it so often, it became, why not make part 13? If you can pull off making a feature film, you could make feature films and sell them for a living. Ding, 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 ding. Holy hell, Mary Jason, I am saved.
Yeah.
And you just have a moment, man, boom. Because if you can, and all it takes is just commitment and dedication and people getting along and throwing the egos out the door and all the bullshit. If everyone works together, team efforts, and the creative juices are flowing, it becomes a high energy thing. I try to keep all my sets I call it, let's go make some magic. When we're going to go film, it's let's go make some magic, because the times are the magic as well. And you become a family with each crew you have, and you see each other, knowing you may never see them again that much after the film, or you may not see them at all. And life is short. Maybe you won't see some of them because they're passed on. These things have happened to all of us. Several of my actors, it's like they're gone. So all this kind of puts my head in a twirl thinking about how important life is. So why not, again, enjoy it? That's why I've never been critical of another filmmaker's work. It's not my right. Art is subjective. It's personal. It should be whatever that fucking person wants it to be. And anyone who says anything negative ever about anything ever is insecure, period. And that's all it is. No hate on that, but it's true, because if you have an open mind and you can sit down and watch anything like I can and just be like, it may not be your cup of tea at the end of the day, but you're not going to go and hate on the dude or make ugly comments or send his family death threats or, I've gone through all kinds of weird shit. This is real life. And it's like, people are just, what's going on? I get along with everybody. What the hell? It's like, I'm just making my vision, having fun. But people get angry sometimes that you're having fun. Yeah. We're like, well, it could be because they're unachieved or haven't reached potential. Maybe they have a bad home life. Maybe they're abused by their parents. Maybe there's drug problems. We don't know anyone's situations, all right? And that's always the case. But real life happens. I'm just choosing mine to go down the most positive path possible, if that makes any sense. Yeah. And what that has done for me is allowed me to do so many different things. And, it wasn't just the horror films, but I had a pro skateboard career and a career with my band Stage Dive that no one ever heard. But it was still a fun career, nevertheless.
And that's another thing.
Power of positive energy can take you to amazing, magical places.
Like, I mean, you didn't, that was the thing. You didn't just do the movies. You did, and for me, it was, it was the movies, it was drawing, and it was a band, but the biggest drive I had was movie making. So that always won out, but you succeeded and you pushed through all of those things that you love doing. I mean, skateboarding, I would say, shit, that's such a huge part of who you are, and how did you, how did you find the time to do everything that you love from such an early age? Because again, you've got video, you have video proof of your life as a skateboarder, as a filmmaker, as a musician. and you can trail it back to.
And in order to finally make the ultimate life film project of my entire life, which will be an amalgamation of how I went through real life doing all three of those and the drama that surrounded it through 3 marriages and the real life and the whatever happened, the golden nuggets of everything ever, from a real life lived of somebody having a dream to make films, pursuing it all the way. The only thing I can't figure out with this own personal epic project, because I won't be able to top it, let's just say that, because it takes a lifetime to film it and it comes out whenever that is, whether that's 10 years from now, 20 more years. I may die before then. I do not know. Someone, Violet, you better learn how to edit. She's going to have access to all of Daddy's stuff. I have, also over the last 30 years, I've tried to archive every VHS tape into my private YouTube account so that whatever we want to see, instead of grabbing the tapes and risking eating up the tapes, we just go to our smart TV. And I go by years and I'm like, let's go back to 1993. And there's just thousands of movies. Oh. The other day I archived 2014, had 250 videos that I just archived in. I haven't seen since I shot them. And that's just a tiny piece, Then I've got to go 2015 all the way up to present. I kind of started with the old days because that's more important. The tapes are aging, they're getting older. So we go to the beginning first and work our way through. But yeah, I don't want to say how old I am because I hate age as a number. I believe I'm 25 forever, but we'll say I'm 25 forever times 2. And through those 2 decades that I've been alive, it's just a lot of content and it's personally overwhelming. And to me, the only way I could approach such a project would almost be, because I've already done it both for stage dive and for my skateboard career, which is stage, and this is not just got released. It's called Stage Dive, the greatest band of all time. Not be a narcissistic comment, because I know how people will take that, but that was the actual review called us the greatest band of all time on our first CD review ever. They also called us the greatest band since Led Zeppelin, and we get lots of laughs from that one. But I'm like, motherfucker, that's real. That made me like through the roof. I felt like, I can't get any further, even if my band goes nowhere, which it did. That quote is gold, And I was like, I was on cloud 9. People hate that, but I'm like, but it's real. I didn't say it. They did. It's documented. I have the magazine. I show it in there. But anyway, this covers the whole life of the band Stage Dive. When we first formed in 1996, and this was after my first wife, Lisa, and I had done the horror career and maxed it out. And I was like, in order to have time for music, let's pause the horror film career, which I think came after Night of the Clown. And we can talk about all the movies, of course, too, Chris, but I know I'm jumping around, but the thoughts are just kind of connecting something here. I don't know what, but we'll find out. You just got to roll with the punches. But the Stage Dive project captures the whole life and some of the, real arguments or band not getting along or band getting along. It's just whatever happened. And it's just, again, 100% real. So it's kind of like a full life of my accomplishments with the band that recorded 25 albums, played 51 live shows, and got called the greatest band of all time. Didn't want to misquote it. And I was like, well, we're definitely not the greatest band of all time because we've only sold like 3 albums ever. And that's sad, but I am hoping people will buy our new box sets that we are now making that include the entire Stage Dive experience. And you have all kinds of choices of boxes and options. And it will include 16 DVDs and 3 full-length studio albums. Our top 3 studio albums. Oh, here's our ode to Kiss, the album cover, Rock and Roll Over. We totally mimicked it. The fans will get it. They'll be like, oh, yeah. Are any of you familiar with Kiss or with that album?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Of course.
Yeah, there it is. So we had to do it. I was like, let's all lay down on the floor and put our heads together, literally. Oh, here's one with my old long hair. Chris, you remember those days when I had long? I wish I was still a hair farmer, but the good thing about being bald is I could put on any wig I want.
That's right.
I was expecting long flowing locks to pop up with that.
I can do it. Hold on.
Oh, it's
Oh,
beautiful.
it looks so natural. So
It looks real.
Yeah, it works great over there. I don't want to put that dusty ass thing on my head. I'll get crabs.
um,
Thing's been sitting back there since I moved here. 9 years of dust. Oh, great. Now I'm going to sneeze the rest of the interview.
the skateboarding,
Yeah.
you did the same thing. You put out your DVD, which Clint and I watched.
You saw
Again.
skateboarding. You saw Skateboarding Revelations.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Clint's like, I
that's
got it.
the result of my full life in skateboarding for
It's
sure.
here somewhere.
Yeah, but
Well, I've never heard that you've seen that, so I wasn't sure. What did you think?
insane, just crazy. Again, it's just like when you think you figure out Todd Cook, it's just like then it's like it's like holy shit, like how much have you done? You know what I mean? Like your
Not
life
enough.
your life is insane. It's so full, you know? And to do what you've done for as long as you've done it is just to us it was crazy. It was mind blowing. You know what I mean?
Well, like I said, I decided early on that there were three things that I loved and I'm going to do for the rest of my life: movies, music, and skateboarding. And so that's what I'm still doing, except I had to stop the skateboarding, which I'm sure you noticed in the film.
Oh yes.
Because it destroyed my body and my life, and I'm really angry at skateboarding right now. So yeah, after spending 3 years in a wheelchair and having to relearn to walk and still not being over all the damage and the pain and the health issues I've developed. I went to the doctor yesterday. I finally reached the end of my ropes because I got damaged vertebrae that I think is really fucking up a lot of my breathing and sinuses and congestion issues. So praying that that's all going to check out and be okay. But man, I've dealt with it for 9 years.
Yeah. I watched
the accident was 2015. So
I saw the Vice interview.
Yeah, that was 3 years after I moved up here. I was like, "Wow, this is weird. Something's actually happening here in the podunk town of East Texas. Where I am the film scene."
Yeah,
I'm the only one.
Yeah, and
3,000 population. So
holy shit, that's
I
it.
I am the film scene. I wasn't kidding. That's not a joke.
Wow.
When I've been out here for 9 years, and there's this pub down the street. And I grew up loving the show Cheers. I'm obsessively watching it. I'm going through it again every day while I'm working. It's in the background. I have to have my Cheers. I had my Cheers in Houston. I found my Cheers spot out here. And when we first moved here 9 years ago, it was a dry county. It's like, damn, because I'm a beer drinker. I'm like, damn, this sucks. Well, a year later, we can finally have booze here. So I'm like, yay. They built a pub right at the corner, 5 minutes away from where I live. And I went there on the grand opening day. And I have now walked in and out of that place with my daughter, who I was carrying in her carrier at 6 months of age to 9 years old now. And we've never missed a Saturday up there, hardly ever.
Wow.
And that's our Cheers and our spot.
That's awesome.
And again, this all goes back to driving commitment. I choose to. Doesn't this dude get bored of the same thing all the time? No, fuck no, because it made me happy the first time. So why is it going to not make me happy the 1 millionth time?
Right.
That's right.
I just don't bore, monotony to some, sure. Not everyone's cup of tea, sure. But my daughter even loves it. She's like, we do other stuff too, of course. Go to other places, but our Saturday spot, we're there,
Great. Yeah, that's insane. So Evil Night. Where was the spark?
Evil Night came from, well, here's Chris's version, the remake. And here's the original that began. This film came out of seeing a movie called Slaughter High and loving it and thinking, man, I really like this nerd gets revenge idea. It just seemed like a fun thing to do. And I had also thought, well, it's also got these elements of Carrie, which I was a huge fan. I was like, I love the idea of having telekinesis for revenge.
Yeah.
I was like, well, a cheap and easy to make movie. They're getting pushed around. Now there's my elementary school down there, and pretend it's a college. Just don't show the name, Lantern Lane Elementary. Go down there, and here's the actor who played Jimmy.
Holy shit!
This is his headshot he sent me. So he played Jimmy, which is the nerd that gets pushed around. And he was a little bit too old for the role, and people probably noticed that, I'm sure. He was like 35, acting with 22-year-olds. We tried to obscure that a bit. I don't know if I did. When I watch it, I don't really think he looks his age. I just thought he looked a hair older, but I didn't think it was really that big of a deal. So maybe it is to some, never was to me. But anyway, so yeah, that's his photo. And the lead actress who stops Jimmy, there's her headshot. I have not seen Holly since 1992, so Holly, don't hate if you didn't want me showing your photo. But she was a beautiful, beautiful girl, and I wanted a beautiful lead in the film. So the guy who Peter, that is Peter.
Yeah, man.
Joseph Fautino. So yeah, these gracious people auditioned for my movie. I wanted to make that as soon as I saw Florida High. I was like, I wrote it in a few days. It did not take long at all. Here is the actual 1992 script.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Director's copy I have written on there. The whole thing is there.
That's awesome.
And wrote it fast in the summer of 92, and we shot. It only took 4 weeks, and I have never made a movie that fast ever before or since. I don't know how people like Chris and these others can make movies so quick, but I'm like, Death Metal Zombies took 9 months. Zombie-Fi took 3 years. It's there's so much work. Maybe it's because I like to do things over and over and over because I'm a perfectionist about shots. But yeah, I mean, they just take a long time. That movie was like flying through. So in 4 days, Evil Night was done. Now what do I do with it? Well, I try to get distribution, and don't think I tried very hard because there were only a few companies selling at that time. It was Tempe Video, and I was contacting J.R. Bookwalter, and I was telling him I was doing this movie Evil Night. And I remember sending it to him, but after I finished it, I just decided to release it myself and start a label. I'm like, trust me, if you start this label now, you'll be grateful that you did 20 or 30 years later if you just keep doing it. And that is what has happened. Now, some of my films, like Evil Night, Chris has remade, like none of these things would have happened. I didn't stay on the commitment and the drive of the positive creative energy that keeps taking me to the next level with everything I do. It's always about reaching the next level. I like to use that phrase a lot. Skateboarding Revelations was called Journey to the Final Level. Yeah. The whole trek of the film is, the point was, I thought at a very early age, what's skateboarding all about? Tricks, period. Who's the best skateboarder in the world? Tony Hawk and Rodney Mullen. Biggest inspirations. I want to be like those guys, but not skate like them, you know what I mean? But like do my own thing, but have their abilities. So honed the skill for the 40 years I was able to do it, and took it to every galaxy that I could, and it was infinite as I figured it would be. But there was definitely a final level for lots of different reasons. And to discover that holy grail trick, you know, after 40 years is like, wow. And no one's doing it yet. And I would definitely advise no one ever do it, because it will wreck your body completely, as it did mine. Spine was shaped like an S. Throughout my right hip was like jutted out. I'm still suffering hip pain daily when I walk, boys and girls. So don't do all the 1 foot landings like I was relentless on doing. It took, too much out of my body, I'll say, because I was totally fine in perfect shape before those moves. So had I not discovered that trick, I wouldn't be angry at skateboarding right now. Yeah. But that was the trick that literally broke the Falcon's back. And wasn't just doing it once. It was the over and over 10 million variations. And now how about doing it into this or out of this or this into that, taking the ultimate trick you've already done and going into that. You see, that's what my brain does to me. It got the better of me on that subject of skateboarding. It didn't with movies and music, thank God. So I'm still doing those two things for the rest of my life. And who knows, I can always put out infinite Todd Falcon DVDs because I have more footage than I ever even brushed the surface with in any of the films I've released. I could keep that alive through the old stuff if I wanted.
So
But I
what
have
did you find the reaction was when you put out Evil Knight on your own? What was the initial reaction? Did you sell a lot of copies or?
Keep going.
Can you hear that? The crickets? Yeah, that shot shows, right? That was the reaction. There was nobody there. Just
Nobody
like
saw it.
I was seeing a picture of Chris's chair, and I was like, "What epic timing! Look, there it is." Yeah, no. Well, here's the thing: having sold it through mail order, how do you know who's seeing it? I mean, I only know, yeah, I'm selling these I've got the order form slip, so I know. Okay, we've done 25 copies the first year. It started slow. That much I remember somewhere, and I'm generalizing. It might have been more, might have been even less. I don't remember. But we sold, a small chunk, and that gave us hope. Okay, keep at it. And well, let's make another movie. We finished Evil Knight. We got that done. Let's do Demon Doll. So Lisa and I had met, on the set of Evil Knight, and she and I fell in love, got married shortly before, and I was like, well, we could make a movie just between the two of us and bring a couple actors from Evil Knight, throw them in there, make this real quick, and we'll just call it Demon Dolls. And I just ad-libbed most of the movie, hardly had a script, or ad-libbed the script maybe when I was writing, I don't know. But it was just very quick, super, super quick. Let's make a movie and get another title done, and then put that in the catalog. And if we keep doing this every single year and try to maybe make 3 or 4 movies per year, now we're really growing our content into what we're already selling as established. We were selling, all the movies that Tempe would put out. We bought wholesale and resold. So we had amazing films like Killer Nerd, which is still one of my absolute favorites, Ghoul School, Kingdom of the Vampires, Dead Next Door that JR did, Splatter Farm, the infamous gnarly SOV movie Splatter Farm. Have y'all seen that one?
Of course. The Polonians.
Yeah. So we were retelling all that stuff. Oh, Philip Herman, he and I are working together now, about to get out a bunch of his old school stuff on Screen Time for the first time since Burglar from Hell, which was one of the first films. This is where Phil Herman started, I believe, is what he told me, was also through Cemetery Cinema.
Yeah.
So here's a first edition ever of, and someone else sells that film now. But anyway, he and I are gearing up to release some of his 90s movies. And so he'll have a Screen Time place now. And that's really cool. Kind of like doing the full circle thing. But back to what you were saying, selling the movies, just selling copies a little here and there, gave us hope to keep making more movies. And the more movies we made, the more we started selling. After that, because, this is long before social networking and phones in our pockets that make movies. And the only way to communicate is to rotary dial your phone and wait 10 minutes for answers and, all that good stuff. Snail mail, or Chris and I, video letters, mailing back and forth. We started doing the horror conventions. So we, Fangoria Weekend of Horrors came to Dallas. And I took my video camera there and met one of my idols at the time, Linnea Quigley. Lisa was a huge, huge fan as well. And I was like, man, we got to get her involved in a movie one day. Sadly, that had never happened. I wish it still could now. I don't care, what era, year, or what. It'd be badass. But she was so cool to us that weekend. She hung out with us a lot. She bought us lunch. And we were just always hanging out with her. And I'm having the camera, constantly filming everything. And she brought Lisa up on stage with her during her presentation, and me as well. It was a riot. It was a hoot. She got us into all the celeb dinners. And we started getting included in all this stuff. I was like, I'm going to market you as a new screen queen, Lisa. We'll call you a horror princess, Lisa Cook. And so we started doing that and trying to see if we could create a fan base. And by constantly having her star in these little, B films that I was doing, enabled us to kind of tap that market. And then we go to the conventions, and inevitably there would at least sometimes be a person who actually bought, from Dallas, and we were in Houston. They would drive up and come over and be, hey, I order from you all the time. I'm like, oh, hey. So we got to meet a few fans that way. And I was like, this is neat. It was real small at the beginning, real small. But it was so gratifying to do that stuff. So we had tables, sold stuff, and basically that's how we promoted.
It's awesome. So you would just roll at the early days of making movies. You would just roll from one production to the next, just to build up your cred in a way,
Well, I couldn't stop creating. That's always been the thing of my life. I can never stop creating. Like my brain's constantly making movies or music. Before it was making skateboard tricks. Now it's stopped doing that. Now I'm focusing much better these days because I only have two thoughts to juggle back and forth.
Yeah.
But it's just more about the drive to want to do it. But at the same time, yes, that does build your catalog. So it's inevitable it helps both sides.
So how would you pick like what you wanted to do next? Because I don't know if you're like Chris and I, where we have so many ideas, you know, like when we meet up, like we can come out with like 5 different movie ideas. So like what was your creative process like, and especially in these early days of making stuff? Was it just you'd think of something, or would you have 5 things, you'd have to whittle it down to one? Or
no, it was always, let's do this, let's do this one, let's do that. I can rarely think of any time where there might have been a time I was going to make a certain movie and I just never made that movie. But by and large, it was just literally like okay, well, with Evil Night, that was inspired by seeing Slaughter High. So I was kind of, loving that style, inspiration was taken to do that. When it came to Demon Dolls, that story just popped into my head out of nowhere. I think the movie Scream Time, which I eventually, Scream Time Films, the Canadian slasher Scream Time had this thing with a punch doll. So I wound up getting a punch doll for Demon Dolls. So that was an inspiration there. Death Metal Zombies was inspired because I went to a shop in East Texas, where I now live, and bought a death metal CD and found the specific song that in my head, as soon as I heard it, I saw my movie happening. So I immediately went home and wrote the script in 4 hours that night and then started casting it. Bam. 6 months later, we're rolling, and it took 9 months to make that one. But that one came from hearing a song. One of my favorite ones to talk about, I hope Chris is here for this. If not, maybe he'll hear about it.
I'm here.
Okay. I didn't see you for a long time. Night of the Clown. Do you remember why I made that movie?
Yeah, because
where it came from.
Well, I mean, because of, right? I mean, you wanted to make a comedy horror Chris Seaver type movie,
Yes. But there's a specific line from one of your movies. And I heard that one line, and I in one of my video letters, I'm sure I must have admitted this to you, that I made the whole movie based on.
Oh, okay, yes.
What's the line?
You gonna eat that pickle?
That's it. That's it. I'm looking for my Night of the Clown. I have it around here somewhere.
Yeah. And we would I mean, up until recently, we were using Freak You Killing Me Dead.
Oh, yes, you did. You did. So this movie, folks, exists because of Chris Seaver saying, "Are you going to eat that pickle?" And was it Meteor Man, Chris?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
You see, I still remember. I made this, and the script, I think, is literally like 4 pages. Like it was all. I wanted to think. I was talking with Lisa. I was like, let's try to ad lib a movie all the way through, and just whatever I say, you have to play off of it, no matter how random. So in a way, it was like, whose line is it anyway? Kind of thinking. We love the ad lib acting, and we're like, let's just roll camera and not know what we're going to do or say. That way, the responses, whatever they are, will come naturally.
Yeah.
And that kind of worked. And we shot that movie actually kind of quick. I think it took like 6 months, but even that one took a long time because I think the kills and the lighting and the atmosphere I wanted to have a gloomy, weird, moody, strange feel all throughout as well. But it was all ad libbed, and it was all because Chris said, "Are you going to eat that pickle?"
Yeah, that's funny.
And I advertise as "Get wasted and watch this." That's probably a good idea. I think that's the way most people will only be able to make it through if they do so. But
now, do you remember what kind of cameras that you used to like shoot all of your movies on? Like,
oh yes,
do you still have like all the cameras that you've shot all your movies on?
There's one sitting right here. Hold on, if I can. I use this camera. Okay, here it comes. Hold on. Ooh.
Yeah, there you go.
This one, I'm using to capture all my old 8mm and digital 8 footage, and there's still about 3,000 tapes to go. I'm never going to get through it all, but it constantly stays hooked in with a firewire. It constantly stays connected to one of the 6 PCs in this room. And every day that I can remember to go over to that computer, turn it on and put in a tape and press play, and takes all of 10 seconds, but I can hardly ever get to it. But it just stays there, and the moment I can archive something, boom, I'm going. But
Awesome.
I also shot Night of the Clown with this one, since we were just on the subject. And I had 3. I still do have 3 of them. I think one of them kind of has problems, but still plays tape, just won't record anymore. But I do not throw stuff away. If it still has any kind of function, it can still do something, then it stays until it drops dead.
That's cool.
So I've still got that. The camera that I haven't unbagged in a long time, it's in my closet, is the one I shot Zombie-5 with it. It's like this big, and now no one uses cameras like that. In fact, my iPhone has better quality than that big production camera. Yeah, this right here, this is the iPhone. I'm real lucky to get the 14. I don't know what they're on now. They're probably already past the 14, but this is the 14 Pro. And man, the clarity and the quality is just beautiful. And it's got this built-in cinematic. You can walk and bounce, and it sucks the bounce out and locks you right onto a dolly. Crystal clear. So I can do effortless dolly shots walking with my phone. So I don't use cameras anymore. I use the phone camera. Yes. Lightweight, portable, and beautiful. It's filmmaking on the go, in your pocket.
Death Metal Zombies.
Yes.
Which is my favorite Todd Cook film. And actually the film that I picked to talk about today to let people know about. But yeah, to me, Death Metal Zombies is up there with JR's The Dead Next Door, with Todd Sheets' Zombie Bloodbath.
Zombie Rampage.
I think Zombie Bloodbath. I think Death Metal Zombies is your like.
It's an epic. It's an SOV epic.
Yeah.
It's an it's an SOV epic.
Yeah.
That's cool to hear.
You gotta remember, Todd, like somebody like me in the town that I was growing up with the people that I, my friends and everything, we see something like that. Death Metal Zombies, it far, to me, it blew Evil Knight out of the water, and we were like, this, this is what we need to strive for. This, like, this stuff. Like, we never did, of course, because the comedy always beat out everything else.
I got on your ass about that a bunch of times, but that's okay that you stayed rigid.
He always does.
Here's an alternate version.
Oh yeah, I've got that.
Nice.
Yeah, I have the.
Sure.
I have the.
Oh.
I wish I still had the cassettes.
Oh, you don't have your cassettes anymore?
No, because I was stupid. When DVD came out, I freaking got rid of every VHS that I had. And I kicked myself. Oh, I know. I don't even have those.
Ooh.
I have what you sent me, which was I have the masters, and it says up here.
I mailed that to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
From Almost Night
Yes.
Day.
That's funny. I forgot that I sent those to you, and I was going through that folder earlier looking for those, and I was like, "Where are they?"
And this was the last one you did for us.
Yes, Anal Paprika.
Anal Paprika.
Yes, that's the Blair Witch one. Yes, I love it. Oh, that's hilarious.
But yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I had all of those. You sent me so much stuff. I probably had everything Todd Cook, and I stupidly got rid of all my VHS. I weep for those days.
Here's the making of Death Metal Zombies. You were talking about Death Metal Zombies,
which you also
when we shot that. I wanted to have the whole process captured from that film for us. Like, let's run cameras filming the camera that's making the movies, and that way we can release a documentary separately with the movie. Yeah. So we did the same thing with Zombie-5.
which was also pretty wild because I loved that stuff growing up. I loved anything making of horror, making of, anything
Yeah.
like that. I love documentaries like that. And so the fact that you offered that was amazing. I loved the Full Moon Video Zone stuff, and then with JR and Dave Dakota doing the Bee's Nest and those behind the scenes and everything. Yeah, man, that stuff was amazing. And so, watching that, I was like, look, it's just them, and they're just having fun, and they're making this movie, and it's just like us guys. Like, we're really, see what.
Why aren't we having fun?
That whole movie was a party, just non-stop. I started drinking on the set of that movie, and I'm still drinking beer because of that movie. Cheers. But anyway, yeah, it was a party film. I mean, those guys had every kind of booze and pot going every time we walked in that place. At that time, I stupidly did not smoke weed at that time. I should have. I started doing that much later, strangely. But I was like, "How that would have been the epic movie to be stoned while filming," But it was great. It was a party atmosphere, fun as hell, and it was one of those movies where we were having so much fun that people that were on the crew wanted to do more. Can I be a zombie too? Can I get killed? Can I do that? And I, being friends with everybody, sure, yeah, let's put you, sure, yeah, absolutely, yep, the dog, go ahead, yeah,
Yeah.
Whoever wanted to help,
Now, when that, were you seeing any sort of uptick after Death Metal Zombies, as far as more fans and
yeah, that one turned out to be, I think, out of all the old films, that's the one that is the biggest following, and I don't think the others have anything even qualified as a following at all. But Death Metal Zombies, yeah, for sure. People have messaged me, that's how I gauge. I like, how many messages have I received that I'm a fan of this movie? It's almost always Death Metal Zombies. There's been a couple for Evil Night, but almost always Death Metal Zombies or Zombified. And I put the most effort into those two, so that does, make me happy that people perceive those, as the highlights, because I think they definitely are. But I would say, yeah, the business started getting a little bigger there. We were still doing mail order at the time, and conventions was the only other way to sell stuff. So not a huge way of doing stuff. And then, with DVDs coming out and us being one of the first people on the web, when the web opened up in 95, I was on it from day one with the Cemetery Cinema website.
Yeah.
We had to now trek through that, but nobody would see your website. There was like no Facebook, no social media, nothing to advertise it on. Advertising costs a fortune. We're still doing better with just the direct mail customers that we had built up from Fangoria ads for, I think we ran them. You remember, Chris, how long we did? Like 92 through what? 98 or something?
98, 99, yeah.
Yeah, I want to say late 90s or late, yeah. I think that's when we started fizzling out because we were able to reach more on the web.
Yeah.
So we just grew into that transition. But yeah, there was an uptick in sales, and that film sold more copies, did better. No one was making a living doing any of it, but we were striving for it. I'm still striving for it.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Yeah.
The life's big joke. Dude, you're so famous. I'm like, where's the money?
Yeah. Infamous. Yes.
But it's all about having fun doing it, and that is the most important and number one. Always keep that forefront. Never give up what you love to do, regardless of the hurdles, So we advertised on the Fangoria for all those years, transitioned to the web, started DVD, and then that became a whole new ballpark. But I think the fan base grew more because of Death Metal Zombies. I know we had a really big cast party for it too that was really fun, and we put snippets of that also in the making of Death Metal Zombies, and that was kind of a wild time. People were all walking around, and I had one sitting next to me the other day. The making of Death Metal Zombies booklet that Lisa
build a wild time. Huh?
Yeah, Bill.
Do wild.
Here's Lisa as she was in '93. Yeah. What is this? Oh, this is Deadly Workout promo pic, I think.
Oh yeah.
Chris, this was the first newsletter I ever attempted to put out.
Wow.
It's so cheesy. It's like 2 pages. An interview all about Todd Cook, interviewed by myself. Unless Lisa did it, she may have. I know she typed it.
Bloody Anniversary.
The dummy, yeah.
Yeah, well, I had it as Bloody Anniversary.
I'm not surprised.
I was confused for a little while there because I was like, oh, did Todd make another movie that I didn't know about called The Dummy? But no, it's Bloody Anniversary.
I wished I had just started off with The Dummy. I really do. That's what the film is to me and always will be. I mean, I know why Bloody Anniversary was chosen, because the concept of the story was this couple getting killed on their anniversary, and that there was a bloody wedding horror movie, The Newly Deads, and I was thinking along those lines, and Bloody Birthday, and it's like Bloody Anniversary, you know, that's kind of, you know, My Bloody Valentine, Bloody Anniversary, that works. Yeah. There's the title. Let's just make the movie. So we made the movie. The whole time we're making it, it's Bloody Anniversary, but like a couple months later, I'm like, The Dummy. It didn't sell was the thing. So I was like, change the title, call it what it is on the cover. Because I always loved those slasher films where there was either a mask on the cover or a mannequin that face of whatever it was, like real close. And ventriloquist dummies, always had an obsession about them because of the movie Magic. Posters on my wall over here, by the way. Always, so Fats is always watching me. But had to retitle The Dummy because it's just direct and basic and hits, and it sells way better because of that, you know, choice. So that was an instance where I made the right choice. Bloody Anniversary was not working.
And then, after so many years, what's this? I hear twitters of a sequel to Death Metal Zombies. My God, how could this be? And sure enough, Zombified.
That's
Zombified, and I remember talking on the phone to you, and you telling me about it for the first time, and being so excited, so pumped, and that was probably one of the many times where I was like, "God damn! Like I really need to get to Texas because I want to be in this goddamn movie. I want to be an extra. I want to get.
I
killed,
wish,
you know.
Yeah, I wish you could have, man. That was the biggest film of my entire life. To this day, I haven't recovered all the money I spent from it. I never will. It was very expensive and huge. And I felt like Adam Marcus on the Crystal Lake documentary. I was way over my head on that film, and I loved it. And I relished in it. And the more problems that came up, I don't know, nothing ever stopped me. I was just popping up and just getting it all done. And I was like, dude, bring me another challenge. It's like constant challenges. I was like, deflect, relax, get this one done. Dude, it was a bunch of hurdles, but it was so full of energy all the way through. I could not, slow down. And I wanted to do the ultimate film of my career, and I'll never be able to top it. I mean, so much in it, so many people, so much money, so much effects, so much everything. And here's the LED.
That's cool.
Nice
version. Can y'all see?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I loved seeing all the familiar faces. I was like shocked that you had.
Yes, we did bring back a good handful of now I don't know, I was originally going to call the film Death Metal Zombies 2, but then I decided to completely abandon the whole campiness that was in the first one and take, again, life's about next level challenge. I go, how about for my next movie, I remake one of my own movies? So I was in my mind really thinking I was remaking it on a different level.
Yeah.
But at the same time, making it serve two purposes and play as a follow-up for all the fans that would like to call this Zombified Death Metal Zombies 2. And I've even considered releasing some with Death Metal Zombies 2, Zombified, just to see if it starts selling more because of that.
Yeah.
Another way to get the film out there and exposed. But because it works as both. But Zombified
it's
really is the right title.
Yeah, doing the opposite of Evil Dead 2, which my daughter Violet and I watched last week. We did the Evil Dead 1, 2, and the Evil Dead remake. She's only 9, and she has never seen such a bloody film. And last night and the night before, we did Bad Taste and Dead Alive.
Oh, right.
9 years old, and she's watching like all of a sudden we just started this. Like
you're raising her right.
Slasher.
Yeah,
she's always watched the horror films with me, but I've saved these like ones that like she needs to be a little older. Boom, we just did it all, and she's like not even phased. She found the original Evil Dead not scary, found the remake not scary. I'm like, are you crazy? Even to this day, I'm watching it. I'm like, if I was seeing that for the first time right now, it would make me react.
Oh yeah,
it would get under my skin, that first one.
When my son was 10, we showed him the remake, Evil Dead remake, and he pulled up covers up to his eye. He was like,
you see,
oh my god, but he loves the thing,
Your son is also scared of me as a werewolf, so
there's my daughter. I don't know if you can see her there.
Oh yeah.
That picture's already 4 or 5 years old. I was going to make still one of these days I'll make a horror film called Violet. And it will be, like mine, my footage of her real life and her becoming a maniacal, whacked out killer somewhere in the film. And maybe even be part artificial intelligence or something. Not even real. She's programmed.
No. So, I mean, what's churning in your head, man? What's
Well, that idea I just came up with starting to turn now. Actually, what that idea I wanted to do, and sadly I'll never get to do, was because I moved away from Houston, 9 million population down to 3,000. This is where I'm staying. This is it, home forever. Don't want the city or the traffic anymore. Safer environment for my daughter. Not going back. But when I was there, I wanted to do Z2, and that's what it was going to be called, Z2, with the same font and same girl. I've got a cover concept drawn up. It's the same girl. Her eyes are glowing red, and it was going to be Zombots. That would have been so badass. So it was going to be the same darkness and intensity that we just experienced, except they're all being, I guess you might say this fits into the artificial intelligence thing, but the Nixon dude was going to be programming and sending them out and taking over the human minds, a la Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. But instead of killing them with the said microchips, it's taking over their brain and making them, killed. So I really wanted to do Z2. That would have been badass, but it probably would have cost $1 million. So who knows? I didn't get to do that, but these days, I it's hard to make new projects other than the ones I've been working on forever, which is this one I just finished. That stage dive documentary just got released last week. On the 1st of May, I released all the stage dive stuff. It's all over the website. No sales yet, but hopefully one day. And this was the most important one, was that rockumentary. So I want to say I spent the last 2 years going through every single thing we've ever shot with the band, watching every single thing, capturing it, putting it on YouTube every night when I go to bed, watch some footage before I go to sleep so that I see every word, everything, every detail. What? Oh, did she just yell at me? Whoa, that was funny as shit. Let's grab that. Lisa and I were always zinging each other. Yeah. We were like Al and Peg. We had the funniest marriage and the way we would interact and talk. And she'd go, punk. And when she'd get mad at me, she called me punk real loud. And it was just so funny and not like all this funny shit that made me laugh. I was like, but you can't make it up. It's real. So like, we got to use this shit. It's just funny, Yeah. And so going through all of that material to come up with an hour and 50-minute documentary on the band that no one ever heard of, whose sound was 30 years ahead of its time. This is kind of how I'm marketing, because to this day, I play the music and they go, I've never heard anything like it. And I go, I've heard that for the last 30 years. So that technically makes the music 30 years ahead of its time, because there was no style like it then, and there still really isn't that I'm aware of. Now, granted, there's 10 trillion musicians, so there could be now. I do not know. Yeah. There's just so many, people on Instagram, TikTok, this, that, whatever. millions of accounts. Everyone's making, everyone's creating. So you never know. Anything's possible. But of course, you know, we really wanted to push the envelope of melding genres that we thought, you know, didn't exist. It was like approaching my filmmaking. Well, let's make a zombie movie, Death Metal Zombies, that's very unique and wild and incorporates a slasher killer into it. And no one's really done that. I mean, we got House by the Cemetery, kind of like a zombie slasher, but it's the slasher is this one dude that doesn't talk. Well, we'll just have, how about a guy who's kind of controlling these zombies and da-da-da. So we were just, you know, doing a melting pot of creativity with that stuff. And when we got down to the band and the music, I wanted to combine pop, dance, rock, thrash, grunge, and alternative all into one wrapper. And we did 25 albums worth of stuff. Sadly, like I said, no one really bought the music or anything. I think we maybe sold 3 or 4 CDs ever at the 50 shows that we played. But I didn't care because I took it so relentlessly to just keep on, because the most important thing is performing for those cameras, those 3 cameras that's recording our shows. Didn't matter if there's 1 person in the audience or 50. We played like there was 10 million. Yeah. And I threw myself onto my back at the end of every show stage. I mean, like Paul Stanley would smash his guitar, I smashed my back, and now it's no wonder I can hardly get around. But all those stages, and at the end of the film, it feels like every take of me throwing myself way high and straight onto my back over and over. Like, well, there's your answer, Todd. You old timer. But yeah, we were a very energetic and aggressive band on stage. And we played our hearts out like we were Kiss, even though we weren't, you know. And that comes from, and I haven't talked about this very much. People don't usually know this, or maybe they do or don't remember. But my father was a music industry veteran, and he raised me in the music industry when it was huge. And we're talking like there was almost no piracy. So it was all vinyl albums and 8-track and cassette tape. Cassette was new. And every week, a stack this big or a box this big would show up with 150 records in it. My 3-year-old hand snatched out every Kiss album that was sealed in every box that showed up until my dad quit doing the music industry. I took Rush, Van Halen, Kiss, Michael Jackson, Bee Gees. You know, we still have thousands of dad's records. They're all here in my home now. And he had quite a career. So anyway, my favorite band in the world is, always has, forever will be Kiss. I got Kiss posters all around me. It's always Kiss who inspired me to become the musician. And I'm a very lucky person that I get to say I sat down in a private room, as close as I am to my phone and you people, with Paul Stanley, with no makeup, with his hair pinned in a ponytail, wearing a suit, and having a private discussion with me, my little 5-year-old giddy self, who says, I'm going to be a rock star just like you one day, Paul. What can I do to succeed? And he was just like he is on all these videos. If you believe in the power of rock and roll, it'll take you everywhere you want to be. So don't ever give up on yourself. You know, he gave me this amazing speech. It just fired me up. And like, we're meeting this dude, and they're already the most epic band in the world. My mind is fried. I'm only 5 and I'm here. This can't be real. Sadly, it was recorded on tape, and the tape got erased later on, and I'm so angry about this. So I used to have the audio of it. They wouldn't allow cameras, of course, because he was not wearing makeup. But he did sign an 8x10, which I still have, and he personalized to Todd rock and roll, and he gave one to my sister as well. So we got this, like, 15 minutes with Paul Stanley. And I think now it would cost you like 10 grand to be like breathing distance from him.
Yeah. Thanks, Dad.
Yes, exactly. So thanks, Dad. And Dad was all, I don't want you listening to that, What it was Kings in Service of Satan is what they were saying Kiss stood for, and Knights in Satan's Service. And there was a hoopla around the band. I'm like, no, Dad, they're not bad. They're not evil. He was concerned because he didn't really know. I was like, Dad, they're about rock and roll, making love, and rock and roll and party. That's it. I said, there's nothing, no other agendas. This is just music and rock and roll show, Dad. Come on. It's like going to the circus. So he got us passes. We met Paul, and we got to see the sold out 2-night show in the Summit for free, which I now have a VHS of the entire shows. They were recording those suckers back then. And I came across a bootleg at a horror convention in the mid 90s.
and now I got to see the show I literally experienced being at. Mind blowing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They were just larger than life. So that larger than life, once again, appealed to me. I just met this guy. So you were talking, Chris, earlier about how like you thought it was the greatest thing when the feeling, when your film is being picked up, it's being distributed, and somebody is putting you out there. This is the feeling I got meeting with Paul Stanley and him inspiring me. And literally, even though I was a 5-year-old kid, he talked to me like you'd have been talking to an adult. And he was so down to earth. I hear all these rumors of what an ego. And I'm like, Gene and Paul are the two smartest people on earth is what they are. The smartest businessmen ever. They've kept it going for 50 years. That is inspiring stuff. I mean, they literally just retired. I was in tears watching their final show. I was like, no, don't. It's not a world without Kiss. It's a world without heroes. It's one of their songs. But yeah, I mean, Kiss inspired me to stage dive. Hence the, where is it? The Kiss cover tribute. Yeah. And that's a 2005 era photo there. So, and the band had my sister, bass player. I'm hoping I'm pointing to the right people. My second ex-wife, the one who shall only be referred to as the evil. I have not once uttered the name since I have divorced the evil. And Rob Kane, our drummer, and I guess that would be me. So anyway, stage dive, and we had two different singers. So that was another thing, Well, I'm like Zsa Zsa Gabor. I switched wives every 10 years. Like, it's been 10 years, time traded in, let's get another one. Now, I have humor about everything. You got to, that's how I've made it through life. Laughing is good for you. It's good to see things from a different perspective after you've gone through, I won't talk about it, details, but, I've gone through some really like shit people would not even, they'd be like, how are you still alive again?
Yeah.
And they could probably say that numerous times over. I mean, life has been fucking ugly. Or maybe the people in life sometimes. And I'm like, I don't relate to that. I don't get that. I'm just like my father. He's always been very loving, kind, sweet, gentle, caring. He'll put his hand on every shoulder of every strange person he talks to. He's not afraid. And I'm the same way. Everywhere I go, I talk to total strangers. I talk to whoever, whatever. Get along with everybody. Again, we're going back to this core key message that everyone on the face of this planet really, let's bring this love for life back and, support each other, throw the egos, out the door, let's just all be one big happy family because life is too short. You wake up like this and you go, wow, I sure am glad I recorded all this footage because I have all this great stuff to go back and look at. So whatever it is that you do in life, do it and relish in it and enjoy the hell out of it because you only got one chance.
That's right. That's right. That's
and
awesome.
my thing is, how am I going to complete everything I want to do in that time? Because we never know when our time is up. And that's the scary part. It's like, again, I don't relate to my age and the number. I still feel like 1989, like it has not changed for that long. I keep forgetting it's 2024. I'm like, every day I wake up, it's 1989. Whatever's on the TV says it's 1989. Oh, that's my 1989 movies. That's why. But I keep that mind frame all the time because, well, it was the easy part of life, before marriage, before disasters, before life experiences, before, heartbreaks, before pain. Let's just say before pain. Because when you experience pain, that really does change your perspective. And then it becomes a little bit more difficult to focus sometimes on your art and your passions. Like, I'll use Zombified, for instance. And I want to say this about Zombified. Zombified saved my fucking life. I would have committed suicide if I hadn't made Zombified. Why? Well, the evil. That's all I'm going to say. It was that bad. So making that movie saved me because I was able to get out those horrible feelings and the devastations and the, resentment of having met this person and, wasted all this time. You go through a lot of gamut of emotions when you're transitioning out. So I was transitioning out and making the film. And I was like, if you stay focused on the film and don't wallow in what's going on, that's going to help. And it sure did. So the fact that I I moved out of that situation, completed the film. We kept meeting to do the shots. And I said, no matter what happens, don't ever let any of that show in the film, because that's number one. We got to make this look like we're just the characters, We don't want people to know, anything about anything else, period. Keep the focus on the film. So we all did it. Everyone was professional and we trooped it through. But yeah, life's challenges can sometimes make filmmaking difficult and or hard on you emotionally. So that was an interesting project. But I look back now, I'm like, man, and regardless of who I was married to at the time, the art stands alone by itself. I love seeing those films. I have no regrets there. The art we made, in fact, the art I made with the second one, I want to say was the strongest art ever because of Stage Dive. Girl was a powerhouse of a singer and performer. So if it weren't for that, we wouldn't have the catalog of music that we currently have. So,
all right.
Sorry if I yap too long.
No, hey, it's
fired
fine.
Up with stories.
It is fine. It's
we're all over the place here.
We're gonna talk about our picks now. We're gonna go into a movie that we just want to tell the audience about. A movie that they can check out, something that we love in the SOV realm. So why don't we have our guest go first? Talk about his pick. What do you got, Todd?
Yes.
Boarding House.
Now, Boarding House, and here's the thing, I was doing what people now call SOV. That was not even a genre of filmmaking to me. I was just making movies on what format I had. Didn't know about that film till much later. In fact, I don't think I saw any SOV film other than Splatter Farm, and I think Zombie Rampage, the first one, Goblin, and Killer Nerd, which is such a huge. I absolutely love Killer Nerd. It's been one of my favorite films of all time. Been doing the Harold Kunkel voice for about 35 years.
Oh, I know. I remember.
But oh, he's great. I love that guy. I need to send him a video on Facebook of me impersonating him. I do it almost daily. Like when I'm driving in the car, I like to work on my voices. Inevitably, I'm always doing Toby Radloff. It's a fun voice to do. So Killer Nerd, yeah, I'd seen a few, but not Boarding House till later. And Boarding House, I liked because of its originality. The guy with the telekinesis and the mind thing going. I was like, oh, that's cool. Kind of wish they had incorporated a little more of that into the movie, but it was random and it was weird and it was rock and roll and a poolside party and I don't know, it just had a fun feel to it. And I want to say that was one of the earliest SOVs ever, right?
Yeah.
82 or something.
And they put it on. They
blew it up to 35
blew it up to 35 millimeter.
I thought so. I thought I'd seen a print of that. Is that how they released this DVD? I don't remember what this contains anymore. Does anybody? I don't know if it's the old version or the new one.
Yeah, I've got a couple different versions of it. I've got the Code Red, and then I've got this slasher video one.
I've never seen that one.
Yeah, I've got the Code Red, so I don't know.
Our buddy Sean King, he
has the rights.
He has the rights to it, and they're putting out a big Blu-ray crazy release.
I think it's out. Is
it already out? Oh yeah, it did come out. Yeah,
I gotta get it, but I will get it eventually. But I have it on 2 different releases.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I think I sold my VHS. I've unloaded a lot of the VHS in my collection of 40 years, and I think I sold it. But I had Boarding House on VHS, and I want to say it didn't look like video at all. From what I remember, that to me looked like film version. That was an old tape. Like Canon video or something. I can't remember. I forget, but yeah, Boarding House was unique and weird and different and just kind of cool.
All right.
So I like weird stuff.
Here's the trailer.
Yes, here we go.
On September 18, 1972, the Hartman House was closed due to several mysterious deaths. On September 18, 1982, the house was reopened as a boarding house. But something else will. No one under 17 admitted without parent or guardian. Horror vision.
It is definitely a weird movie.
Yeah, it really, really is.
I like weird. I like weird.
Yeah, that's one I've considered talking about. So I'm glad somebody got it. It's yeah, so many different things working in that movie.
I love the fact that it was shot on video and they blew it up to 35. That's crazy to me.
Yeah,
it looked just like film when they did. So it's like, holy shit. And to be honest, and this is my personal preference, no offense to anyone else, but I did not want the look of video on anything I put out. I would always do what we called film clone, which is kind of like a film look. That was a thing they were doing at the time. If you shot on video, you could make your film actually look more gritty like or whatever. So I applied that on a bunch of films. Now, the earliest versions of mine, Evil Night and a few others, went out, straight as video. But for me, it's kind of weird to see them that way now. But I remember Boarding House and seeing that and going, wow, it's... I thought it was on film the whole time because that first print I saw it was, and then I got the video version. I was like, holy shit, it was on video before? Yeah. Wait, what? So I thought that was pretty cool, But it was a fun film, just zany.
Good pick, folks. Look up Boarding House for one of the earliest, if not the first, shot on video.
Also called Housegeist.
Housegeist,
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. I don't know why I just remembered. Do you have oh, you do. Yes. Was that a foreign title for foreign distribution or what?
I don't remember. I think it was they just released it as something else just to get money,
Yeah. Yeah. Retitle a film. I did that, Bloody Anniversary and the Dummy. Hey, we all do it.
All right. Andrew.
What
is your pick for the night to let people know?
Well, I'll keep out. I know everybody loves my recommends. I'll keep it short and sweet. Mine is 2009's, a later era, Halloween Night. One word, Halloween Night. Not two words to be confused with Halloween Night that are like 7 other films.
Yeah.
It's a Polonia Brothers film. I don't know if any of you guys have seen it or not. It was directed by Mark. It was written, I believe, by John before he passed. And it was the first movie that they made after he passed. So, they do a dedication in the film. I am an absolute sucker for anything that has to do with Halloween. So putting that in the title alone is going to get my attention. But Polonia Brothers, you guys know how much I love the Polonia Brothers films. So that's a huge thing for me. So those two things together, amazing. It's a killer scarecrow flick, which I love those too. So it's kind of a nerdy guy who gets picked on by these. I don't think they're teens, but I think they were supposed to be 20-year-olds. Not exactly 20-year-olds, but we do that all the time. So I also love that. But they pick on this guy and he gets a scarecrow to start doing his bidding and he's killing all these people. There's a amazing LBP level Halloween party. I think maybe 5 or 6
people there.
Yes, it's a huge blowout party. I don't want to give away too much out of it. There's some fun. I don't know if it was necessarily CGI, but I think it was CGI effects They don't always land, but I think that was the big part of the budget. Looking like it went to the CGI, but I absolutely love this movie. I watch it almost every Halloween season, so I'm a huge fan. So, like I said, short and sweet, but Halloween night.
Halloween night. So let's check out the trailer to Halloween night.
The sound is exquisite.
Scarecrows don't run around by themselves.
That was the only sound you had, was that last little tidbit. That's all you need. That was one of the teens in the movie, or 20 somethings. But yeah, you guys know it. I love the Polonius Brothers movies, and this one just hits that Halloween sweet spot for me. So yeah, it probably won't be the last Polonius movie I talk about. Just even in that trailer reel, when we're looking at the other stuff on the screen, I saw another one I want to talk about. So we'll see. But yeah, Halloween night, love this movie. So
yeah. I assume that you can probably see that on Tubi, or
I don't recall.
It was on Amazon for a little bit.
I think I'm trying to remember what I watched it on this past Halloween. I think because I had the DVD, I think, at one point in time, but I think I watched it streaming this past year somewhere. But
yeah, it's on Amazon.
It is. Maybe it was Amazon that I watched it. I don't remember, but yeah, it's a fun one, you guys.
All right, so guys, check out Polonius Brothers. Woo. The epic.
What do we got? Oh yeah.
Oh man, Dark Magic.
I missed, what was the first one?
That was From Almost Night Till Almost Day.
Oh, okay. I couldn't see it because it was small on my screen. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, Dark Magic.
Yeah, I just found a handful of these things right before we did this. I was like, just show these to them as I can. See if you remember. I bet you, of course, you probably remember all that stuff.
Oh yeah. We recently re-released that stuff on.
Oh, did you?
On Blu-ray.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, Clint, what is your pick?
So my pick is a 1992 slasher film. And so previously Border House was talked about with telekinetics. Then Andrew talked about someone getting picked on and bullied and getting revenge. Well, my movie that I'm picking has elements of both of those things in it. I'm picking none other than Evil Night. Evil Night, I love. Todd, your kills are so fun in Evil Night. Without giving too much away, there's machetes to the crotch. There's people getting spanked to death with spiked paddles. There's a gag that we created that we kind of redid in the remake where telekinetic shoves something through somebody's mouth and it pops out the back of their head. There's a great sprinkler kill.
Yeah,
there's an exploding cigarette gag that's amazing. It was just so fun. I love inventive kills. And you just have to see the movie to experience these fun kills. And I love masks. I've always loved masks in slasher films. So the Evil Night clown mask really just did something for me. I just loved the way it looked. Cool. Yes, it was an honor. I'm picking it as my recommendation, and it was an honor to have filmed the remake And to use the original mask, it was like we were working with like a sacred object, you know.
Right.
So that is my pick, is Todd Cook's 1992 slasher film, Evil Night.
Right. So let's show the folks a little bit of Evil Night.
I'm really sorry.
Now that looked like the old trailer. Yeah, it was the old trailer. Yeah. There's actually a newer trailer out. Oh, look, I just happened to the only pages I have that have photos that were taken the night of filming Evil Night.
Wow.
All right.
And that's all I got photo-wise on Evil Night, but the eyeball kill and Jimmy with that paddle we were talking about, the spanking scene.
Yeah.
There it is.
So my pick is, we said it before. I also picked a Todd film.
Oh no.
I wanted to talk about this film for the first episode that we did. But I figured, I sort of threw out the line to see if Todd would do this. So I waited to do it for tonight. But yeah, my pick is Death Metal Zombies. As we said before, this is a epic SOV classic as far as I'm concerned. Huge inspiration. Like I said, it's right up there with The Dead Next Door and Zombie Bloodbath and those epic SOV films. As far as I'm concerned, the stuff that really pushed me forward, and everything about the film to me is awesome. It's epic. It's funny. It's fun. Again, like Clint mentions, there's some great kills. There's some really great characters in the film. Very funny characters. The idea is really fun. The whole Richard Nixon mask slasher is great. Like, oh, look at this. He's showing gems, guys.
Everything that you said, I've held up the photo for so far.
Look at
I just happen to have all those scenes captured that you were just talking about.
Yeah.
That was always one of my favorite, was my sister with the machete.
The great Bill DeWild in the film, which I loved. You've got Jan Mundorf.
I have a picture of Jan. I have a picture of Jan passed out on a porch somewhere, drunk. Where is it?
But yeah, guys, like, talk about, if you're like a filmmaker. Oh man, that picture is DeWild.
Here's the one, Chris, that used to and still is, I think, the Dead Rock Zombies cover photo.
Yeah.
That is the actual real photo that I used to make all those boxes. Yeah. Put the fire behind him to make it more epic.
Yeah. Guys,
if
you're an titties. If you're inspired, if you are looking to be a filmmaker, guys, like, and you want to see anything and everything in the horror genre, from the Super 8 to the SOV to the shot on video to the beyond, like, you got to start with a lot of the classics, and Death Metal Zombies is in there with the classics. So I'm gonna show you the trailer now to Death Metal Zombies.
There's lots of boobs in the movie.
Yes.
Here she comes.
All right, let's do this.
I miss that hair.
The nostalgia is. Woo!
Where's my hair? I want that hair back.
Incredible.
Do you know why I'm smiling in this photograph? Movies!
You sure that's the making of Death Metal Zombies?
Yeah, a lot of people, when they continue on through this book, they're like, all right, at what point did this movie transition to a different genre? I'm like, it's a snuff movie.
All right.
I actually used that camcorder to film part of that movie. That was one of the smallest cameras. It was called the Canon UCS-3. That thing was like a square that big with a little bitty nub, and it was literally a palm quarter is what they called those in those days. Oh, wow. And that camera busted and got messed up, and the next thing I know, we had a different camera. So the movie was shot on like 3 or 4 different cameras. Here's one. Here's a picture with Jan Mundorf in it. You were mentioning Jan. I got to mention him and Wes Dodson for sure. This guy has been an avid Death Metal Zombies supporter all through life. This guy right here, Wes Dodson, he's the Kurt Cobain lookalike in the film.
Yeah.
Who gets slashed up, and he's wearing the Team Spirit clothing with the blue shirt and the flannel. The dude looked just like Kurt Cobain. I was tripping. I was like, oh my God. And like, actually more than one person had it. And the guy who played Johnny, he had the Kurt Cobain haircut as well. Oh, here's the night we filmed the chest crushing.
Amazing you have all these still.
I hope those are showing up clear. I can't tell if you're able to.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I can see them.
Indeed. Yeah, I saved absolutely every single photograph, every single thing from those days. All the stuff. This is basically the making of Death Metal Zombies in a photo album book.
Crazy.
Photo album version of it. There's one with the camera.
You got the Dead Meat shirt.
Yep. I still have. I sold that very shirt on eBay recently for $500.
Holy crap!
But I still have one more, and I'm not selling that last one.
Amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, when the small camera busted, we used somebody else's VHS. Then, in the middle of filmmaking, this guy brought over the Canon. God, what was it? The Canon L2, it was called. That was a badass camera right here. Interchangeable lenses that you could unscrew, and those lenses cost as much as the body of the camera. Like $2,000 for like a, lens attachment. And I was so impressed with how that camera was that we wound up getting one of our own, and we finished all of Death Metal Zombies and filmed the dummy and everything going forward. We use that Canon UCS. We use that Canon L2 with the interchangeable lenses. There's the Dead Meat shirt again. And we have lost a handful of actors, from Death Metal Zombies. The guy who played Shengar, Thomas Banta, has sadly passed on. Here's Thomas.
Yeah.
To this day, his brother Kevin's always making posts about how he misses his brother so much, and I'm like, oh, because he was such a great guy, And he was when I saw him walk through the door, I was like, that's Shengar. Just don't care if this dude can act at all. That is fucking Shengar. I don't know why, but I pictured a guy that looked just like him. So we just said, you got it, man. And he was amazing. He nailed it. And he was a fun and funny guy. Here he is crossing his eyes and looking silly. But he was a cut up on set, one of the life of the party kind of people. And Hilton Jackson is another one who we lost recently. Rest in peace, Hilton.
Oh, no.
Yes, rest in peace. There's 2 videos on YouTube. I made one for Thomas and one for Hilton that are Death Metal Zombies in memoriam. I posted these years ago. Hilton passed, I want to say, about 2 years ago, so that one was recent. Thomas, I think 10 years already. I can't remember. There are a few others. Some of the crew, was older as well, so I know we lost some crew members. And here's another great one of Shengar. We're just cutting up and laughing before rolling here, but yeah, there we go. Golden memories of, filming Death Metal Zombies. We wanted it to be a party movie, and it was a party experience to go along with making the movie. Oh, I said I was going to show you a photograph of Jan passed out on the front porch. There it is. We had to step over him on the way out. He had blue hair. He was wasted. The whole movie, man, there was just people sleeping all over the place. It was hilarious. I was always the last one standing and just filming and getting whatever shots I could. And because of Death Metal Zombies, this became the Scream Time Films logo. So there's Corpsey, and there's his actual Scream Time Films logo original photo. That would be the one that I scanned back in the days when we had a flatbed scanner. Put it down, wait. Whoa, there it is.
Well,
now we just Wi-Fi it from your phone straight to your PC now.
I know. This has been insane. This has been epic. An epic time.
Yes, it has, and I do not want it to stop.
With Todd Cook.
So we'll just have to keep on going. No,
the man, the myth, the legend. Thank you so much, Todd.
Thank you, man. It's so great to hang out with you after 30 years. Finally.
I know, insane.
It's been a blast.
Where can people get the Todd Cook library? Where can they find your films, everything that you have to offer?
Everything is available from screamtimefilms.com. I don't know if that will show up for them, but yeah, screamtimefilms.com is the whole catalog of every film that we've still got available. Awesome. And just released a ton of stage dives. You have your choice of 16 different boxes. We also have something called the Scream Box available, where you can choose from countless horror covers. You've got one, sweet. And you can custom select 10 movies from our
full catalog and say, whatever 10 you want stuffed in there, and you can choose a box for that too for one low price. Yep. I think we got them down to $35 now for 10 films and your choice of a box. Same thing with Stage Dive.
That's nice.
So check it out, please.
So that's it. This has been an epic episode. I want to thank Andrew and Clint for coming to enjoy this special episode with us.
Yeah, great meeting you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great meeting you too, man. I'm gonna hit up the website, I think, after this. So
great.
Would love to talk to you guys all again too, even if it's not being recorded. Let's have a phone combo one night. We can just keep reminiscing.
There's always time for a part 2.
That's right.
So we're gonna stop this episode right now. Guys, do yourself a favor. Check out Todd's films, especially if you are just starting out as a filmmaker and you love the horror genre and that's what you want to get into. Please, geez, he's got like trading cards. Okay.
This is the only set that exists. Handmade. I handmade this box as a prototype. Every one of these are color copies that I laminated carefully and tried to cut real cleanly around all the edges. Trying to hand make a set of Death Metal Zombies trading cards and all the infos on the back. This may go up on eBay one day if it's worth more than $10,
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
And Andrew, what was
the phrase of stay vigilant?
That's right, folks. SOV warriors, stay vigilant, and we'll see you on the next episode.